Today we're going to be going over the balance manual, and so this should be our last training video and really wrap up the balance protocol. We want to start from the very beginning and make sure that we're all completing our evaluations and the manual and the visits the same to make sure that just are providing consistency of care. We are going to be doing audits each week just to make sure everybody's following up on everything. But we want to make sure that everybody's following the same standards and not getting off track. So it's not to be, not to try to micromanage, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page and held to the same expectations. Because the balance progression is pretty complex, but we're trying to make it as simple as possible. So I will be doing those each week and letting you know if I find anything that we could change to make better. So let's start from day one. You have a patient come in for the initial evaluation, and with this initial evaluation, the first thing you'll go into is their history. Things we want to make sure that we see on the history are their primary symptoms and how they have changed over the last year, their current functional limitations, so if they can't walk up ramps, or they have trouble walking on unsteady surfaces, or they have unsteadiness when they ascend to standing. If they have any history of falls or near falls and the cause of these. So I tripped over my toe, or I tripped over an object, or I had 3 falls this year. Anything you can do to provide details on that. And then, do they have a current exercise program, or are they a member of the fitness center? So those are things you want to make sure that you include in your history. You don't have to write those down. I will send the audit form to all of you so you make sure that you have those listed. And once it becomes more natural, those things should just come natural to us in our history. We all want to use the same diagnosis code as the first one listed, and so that will be unsteadiness on feet for R26.81. So we want to all make sure that's the same so that...
And what populations, so specifically if you have someone that is going to be going through the balance protocol and using the things that we're going to discuss, that's going to be the code we use, so that'll help us be able to monitor and make sure that we're being consistent with the form. If it's, there may be some other deviations from that. You may have a Parkinson's patient or somebody that's kind of has some balance issues that we still can focus on, and we can still use the protocol. But if it's really a specific balance patient and that's their #1 focus, and that we want to make sure and use that goal.
And we also want to make sure, if they're not a balance protocol patient, say, like for example, you have a Parkinson's patient that you're not taking through the balance protocol, or you want to use another diagnosis code, so put Parkinson's as their first diagnosis code and not unsteadiness on feet. We also want to make sure you're doing myotomes or manual muscle testing, dermatomes, range of motion, an oculomotor screen, which we'll be going over. And if you're not here for the annual training this week, if you're seeing this video at a later time, then I can always show you how to do that, but we want to make sure that's very thorough. And we want to choose either the mini best test or the Berg balance scale, so we should be doing one of those on our initial evaluation to set a baseline. Berg balance scale, you're looking for those people that you know are a lower functional level. If you have somebody that's using an assisted device, then you're going to want to use the Berg balance scale. That's an automatic, so especially if they're using a walker. You have those people that use a cane that don't really need the cane but have it around, then you could probably do the mini best. But if they rely on a walker to get around, you're going to hit a floor effect on the mini best, so you need to use the Berg. So we both need to know how to administer both of those tests, PTs and PTAs. We want the modified sit-sieve to be completed. On the initial evaluation, if Dr. Lott's done a screen before, you don't have to complete it again. You can use the same information, but we want to make sure that that's completed by the initial evaluation. We want the goals to be appropriate, and so I'll be checking to make sure that you include one of those outcome measures and that you have at least one functional short-term goal and one functional long-term goal. So the short-term goal could be I stand up from a chair without using my hands, and the long-term goal could be walking for 5 minutes without a loss of balance, just for an example, but something that relates to that person individually. and then we want to make sure that the plan of care is justified. So with the amount of material we need to get through on our balance progression, it would be ideal to have the patient come 3 times a week for 6 weeks. If for some reason they can't do that plan of care, then you need to document in the assessment why, and make sure that we know why they're unable to complete that. Dr. Lott, do you have anything to add to the evaluation?
I think the main point of us trying to do this is to maintain the consistency, so that we can continue to improve this system. We welcome your feedback, and really the only way that we can actually get the feedback we need is if we're all doing the same process. So if you find that something doesn't make sense to you, or you're not sure why you're doing it, or you don't feel confident, it's very important that you let us know so we can all talk about that and make sure that we're doing the appropriate things.
Okay. And the big thing that we're changing that we don't do with other patients, which I think will make the evaluation a lot easier for everyone, is that you don't have to complete the home exercise program on the first day. It is perfectly okay to save that for the second day. We actually want you to save that for their second visit. And so don't feel that you have to rush through everything just so you can get a home exercise program done. In order to bill for that, you could bill for patient education, the mini best and the modified sit-sib, with the mini best and the modified sit-sib being in re-ed. But that way you're getting in those 3 units plus your eval. But you just want to make sure that you're not rushing through the home exercise program, which I found was hard to get through everything and give them a home program. So we're going to be saving that for the second visit. With that being said, we need to make sure that on the second visit we are doing the home program, which we'll go into more detail later. We also are